And the countdown has officially begun for Russian President Vladimir Putin's arrival in the national capital today for the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit. This will be Putin's first visit to India since 2021. The visit comes at a time when New Delhi and Moscow are working to keep their decades-old strategic partnership steady amid global pressure, US sanctions and rapidly shifting economic realities as well. In fact, in recent years, these annual summits have only deepened the relationship. India-Russia trade touched a record $65.70 billion in fiscal year 2023 to 24, and both the sides are now aiming to push that number even higher. Here's what Putin's itinerary looks like. Today, Vladimir Putin and Prime Minister Modi will have an informal meeting, with the Prime Minister also planning a dinner for the Russian President at 7 LKM. Then on December 5th, which is tomorrow, the two leaders will hold a formal meeting and sign all the major agreements. During this period, 10 government and more than 15 business agreements will be signed. This means a total of 25 major agreements are expected to be signed. 7 top Russian ministers will also accompany Putin to India, including their Defense Minister Beluzov, Finance Minister Anton Silyanov, and Central Bank of Russia Governor Elvira Nabiullina. Russia has not yet released the names of the remaining 4 ministers. Besides these, prominent Russian business leaders are also coming, including Igor Sechin, head of the Russian oil company Rosneft. So what does this summit signal for both the nations at this time? The summit gives New Delhi and Moscow a reliable platform to align their positions on global challenges and also reinforce a partnership that has proven adaptable despite, in fact, sanctions, tariffs and turbulences in global politics coming for both the nations. But there is a concern for India. How will Washington DC respond to this annual summit? President Donald Trump has already doubled tariffs on Indian goods, warning New Delhi over its continued purchase of discounted Russian crude. Any new energy or defense deal with Moscow could now trigger more pressure coming from the US.
भारत और रूस के रिश्ते कितने प्रगाढ़ रहे हैं वो किसी से भी छिपे नहीं हैं। एक बार फिर से व्लादिमीर पुतिन जो हैं वो भारत आ रहे हैं, लेकिन उससे पहले किस तरह की तैयारी जो है वो देश की राजधानी दिल्ली में देखने को मिल रही है। रसिया हाउस एक कल्चर सेंटर है, यहाँ पर हम आपको तस्वीरें दिखाएं तो ये देखिए, यहाँ पर मौजूदा प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी से लेकर के अब से पहले जो भी प्रधानमंत्री रहे हैं उनसे रूस का क्या रिश्ता रहा है वो यहाँ पर दिखाता है आपको। यहाँ पर अलग अलग मौके पर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी से उनकी मुलाकात जो हुई हैं, चाहे वो देश में हो या विदेश में, उन सबको लेकर के यहाँ दर्शाया गया है। इससे पहले 2022 में आए थे। यहाँ देखिए आपको पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री जो हैं मनमोहन सिंह जो हैं वो आपको दिखाई देंगे। ये रिश्ता कितना पुराना है और कब कब जो है रूस ने भारत की जो है वो रिश्ता प्रगाढ़ किया है, मदद की है हर तरीके से, चाहे बात सैन्य शक्ति की हो या फिर बात हो सामरिक या फिर एनर्जी की। और भी आपको तस्वीरें जो हैं हम दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं। देखिए, अभी भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच जब संघर्ष हुआ था तो आपने S-400 जो है वो उसका करिश्मा देखा था, किस तरीके से एक एंटी ड्रोन का काम किया था। हर वो जो हमला हो रहा था पाकिस्तान की तरफ से उसको निस्तो नाबूद किया था। और आप देखेंगे यहाँ ब्रह्मोस की बात हम कैसे भूल सकते हैं, वो ये भी दिखाता है कि क्या रिश्ते जो हैं वो मायने रखते हैं और किस तरीके से फलते फूलते हैं। आगे देखेंगे अब टैंक से लेकर के तमाम यहाँ पर वो चीज़ें डिस्प्ले की गई हैं जिससे हमें ये याद आए कि किस तरीके से रूस और भारत के रिश्ते जो हैं वो हर क्षेत्र में रहे हैं। यहाँ पर देखिए T-90S जो है वो आपको नज़र आएगा, चाहे फाइटर प्लेट्स की हम बात करें। और यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे तो आपको पेंसिल S1 जो है वो दिखाई देगा, प्रोजेक्ट 11356 यहाँ पर नज़र आएगा। MiG-29 जो है उसकी आप तस्वीर यहाँ पर देखिए। सुखोई 30 MK1 जो है वो आपको दिखाई देगा, सुखोई 57E, तमाम चीज़ों को यहाँ पर प्रदर्शित किया गया। वहीं पर अगर बात करूँ तो इस रसियन हाउस के अंदर एक विशेष डॉक्यूमेंट्री जो है वो भी दिखाई गई थी जिसमें भारत और रूस के दरमियान जो रिश्ते हैं और कब कब किस तरीके से वो आगे बढ़े उसको लेकर के दर्शाया गया था। और आपको बता दें कि जिस तरीके से अब पुतिन जो हैं एक बार फिर से 2022 के बाद भारत आ रहे हैं, 4 और 5 दिसंबर को यहाँ पर रहेंगे, तो उम्मीद जताई जा रही है कि इस दौरान भारत और रूस के जो रिश्ते हैं उसमें आगे बढ़ेंगे और एक नया अध्याय जो है वो लिखा जाएगा। और इसके साथ में इस बीच जो हैं कई अहम जो कह सकते हैं कि संधि जो हैं वो दोनों देशों के बीच में समझौते जो हैं वो देखेंगे को मिलेंगे, ताकि भारत और रूस का रिश्ता और भी मजबूती के साथ उभरे। वीडियो से होगी।
Defense is expected to dominate the agenda. India still operates a large fleet of Russian origin platforms, so discussions on fresh deals are also expected. Key topics on the table include additional S-400 air defense systems and the possibility of advanced fighter jets like the Sukhoi 57E, though New Delhi has not taken any kind of decision on that yet. India will also push strongly for joint production and technology transfer in areas such as missiles, submarines and fighter jets. In aviation, HAL and Russia's United Aircraft Corporation have agreed to co-produce the SJ-100 passenger aircraft. This is exactly the kind of collaboration that supports India's goal of greater self-reliance in the sector of defense. Energy will be another major driver of this summit. Since 2022, oil has emerged as the strongest pillar of the India-Russia partnership, with Moscow becoming one of India's largest crude suppliers. Despite US sanctions, shipments have continued, but the new sanctions announced on November 21st have complicated shipping routes and insurance. Both the leaders are expected to address this particular issue as well. Beyond defense and energy, though, both the sides have been working on shipping, agriculture, industrial projects and a potential free trade agreement with the Eurasian Economic Union. President Putin has asked his top deputy Denis Manturov to identify trade gaps and also propose the solutions. Russia wants to further open its market to Indian products, including machinery, chemicals, pharmaceuticals and food items. Both the nations are quite optimistic about pushing bilateral trade towards the $100 billion mark. To secure India's long-term fertilizer needs, New Delhi is also exploring the setting up of a urea plant in Russia, a project that could be announced very soon. India and Russia are set to unveil a wide range of agreements during the upcoming talks in the national capital, New Delhi. The two sides, in fact, will approve a cultural exchange program until 2030. Russia is also expected to join India's international Big Cat Alliance, strengthening global wildlife conservation efforts. Both the countries will sign agreements on temporary employment and cooperation against illegal migration. A joint action plan to counter the drug threat is also ready. The health ministries will formalize a pact on medical education and scientific collaboration. In transport, an MOU will be signed to train specialists for ships operating in polar waters. Food safety authorities from both the countries will also establish a framework for cooperation, and in space, Roscosmos and India's Department of Space will partner on the production of liquid rocket engines. And just ahead of the visit, reactions are also pouring in straight from the ground. Let's listen in.
उन्होंने यहाँ आने का फैसला लिया, मैं समझता हूँ कि ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। हर जगह पैगाम ये भी जाएगा कि भाई अब हिंदुस्तान कहीं अकेला नहीं है। जो दोस्ती हिंदुस्तान की जो परंपरागत रूप से रही है वो दोस्ती बरकरार है। तो इसलिए जब आप हिंदुस्तान से बात करो तो ये जानते हुए बात करो कि उनके साथ और लोग भी हैं और उसका क्या असर होगा, कैसा रहेगा, क्या फ्यूचर होगा, वो सारा इस पूरी बात को सामने रख कर करें।
It's a very important visit. Obviously, it's an extremely important relationship. But we talk for a long time about strategic autonomy. We have to preserve our negotiating space with America, China, Russia. In fact, this is a subject that I'm about to speak on right now at a conference here in town at 12 noon. What I want to say very simply is, for us, we cannot mortgage our autonomy to any other country's interests. We have to have independent relationships with all these countries. And Russia is an old relationship, it's a serious relationship, it's a strong relationship, and one where obviously we have very many fundamental interests at stake. So I think we will have to see this relationship, how it moves after this visit, but it's a very important visit for our country.
Well, it is the 21st or the 27th such summit between India and Russia. So it's a part of a continuing interaction with a country with which we've had a historical relationship. And so therefore, apex level interactions do continue to take place. That's a normal part of statecraft.
One of the biggest bilateral agendas of the President Vladimir Putin's state visit to India that begins on December 4th is greater defense cooperation. A day after the Kremlin confirmed major defense platforms including discussions on the Sukhoi Su-57 stealth fighters are on the agenda for the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin. The Duma has formalized a crucial military cooperation pact with India. India has embarked on its boldest quest to modernize its combat aviation arsenal to acquire 2 squadrons of Russia's most sophisticated 5th generation fighter, the Sukhoi Su-57. The plan envisions an initial fly-away purchase of 36 to 40 aircrafts, followed by comprehensive technology transfer to enable local production at HAL's Nashik facility. That's what sources are saying. The Su-57 represents Russia's leap into 5th generation technology, emphasizing stealth, sensor fusion and multi-role adaptability. Let's understand how it's a huge tech improvement over powerful 4th generation fighters such as F-16, MiG-29 and Su-27. The Su-57 incorporates radar absorbing materials under a reduced radar cross section. 4th generation fighters like Su-27 or MiG-29 lack advanced stealth shaping and coatings. It features advanced sensor fusion, AESA radar and infrared search and track system. 4th gen jets rely on older mechanically scanned radars and less integrated avionics. It is equipped with thrust vectoring engines and it can perform better maneuvers. The jet has strong agility but not the same post-stall maneuvering capability. It carries weapons internally to preserve strength and its radar signature is smaller. When I say radar signature is smaller, it means it's very difficult to get them on the radar. It's designed for both air superiority and strike missions with advanced precision guided munitions. Jet are often optimized for one role requiring variants for different missions, but in this case you can use them differently. It integrates electronic warfare suite and countermeasures for modern threats, and jets have more limited self-protection systems. It can share data seamlessly with other platforms, enhancing battlefield awareness. The fighters have less advanced communication and networking system, the 4th generation. But Su-57 has longer operational range and endurance due to improved aerodynamics and fuel efficiency. The 4th gen fighters generally have shorter range. Su-57 cockpits are different, more advanced. 4th gen are older analog, semi-digital, but Su-57 is far better. It's but still limited in production and deployment. 4th gen fighters are widely produced and form the backbone of many air forces, but Su-57 is designed with upgrade potential for future weapons and systems. 4th gen are reaching the limits of modernization. So in multiple ways they are very different. I am joined by Air Commodore Dr. Ashpinder Singh Bahal, Defense and Strategy expert. Sir, my first question is, what gap will Su-57 fill and how is it different, sir, from the Americans and the Chinese versions, which are very, very expensive?
Kartikeya, first of all, thank you very much for getting me and inviting me to this great show, which I love a lot.
Thank you.
And you have covered a lot of points, So there are a lot of things that you have already covered, but I can go and elaborate on that better way in terms of more technically, so as to explain how it can fill the gap, technological gap. Currently, we have close to 516 combat aircrafts, out of which 259 to 260 are Su-30 MKI, which is the 4th generation, and there are about 35, 36 or so Rafale, which is 4.5 generation, which is low observability aircraft. And when we talk of Su-57, we are looking at a 5th generation stealth fighter. Now, what do you mean by stealth? The way stealth means that there are 3 signatures of an aircraft. First is the radar cross section, or a signature it paints on a radar screen, which is either on ground or in air, which is trying to pick up a hostile threat or an aircraft or an unmanned aerial vehicle. So this radar cross section means what is the type of signature and at what distance it can pick up. So when we talk of Sukhoi 57, we are talking of a radar cross section of 0.1 to 1 square meters. When we are talking of Su-30 MKI, which is a fourth generation, we are looking at a radar cross section of 4 square meters to 12 square meters. So you can imagine an aircraft that can be picked up at roughly 200 to 250 kilometers. In case of a Su-57, it will be picked up probably between 50 to 100 kilometers. Now, and the best thing about their signature is not just the signature itself. The radar fitted on a Su-57, it is NO36 Balka radar, which has a range of 400 kilometers, and it can pick up stealth aircraft at about 90 kilometers. And stealth is which one? Like F-35 or J-35 aircraft. In fact, they are saying that the F-35 and J-35, which is the fifth generation of America and China, can be picked up between 110 to 120 kilometers. It is phenomenal good, that radar. But when they talk of giving us Su-57, they're also talking of co-development. They're also talking of transfer of technology, 100%. They're also talking of giving us the source code. You know, the problem with Rafale or the Mirage 2000, though they are damn good aircraft, is that we don't have their source code. So we cannot fit in Virupaksha gallium nitride, our own indigenously produced radar, which is manufactured in India by LRDE. So we can't fit that on a Mirage 2000 or a Rafale, but we can fit it on a Su-57, we can fit it on a Su-30 MKI.
So for a general viewer, how is a 4.5 generation or 4th generation aircraft at a disadvantage from a 5th generation aircraft in air?
Okay, so let's look at Rafale. Rafale is a 4.5 generation low observability. Low observability means the ranges at which it can be picked up would be larger than the ranges at which a Su-57 will be picked up. So the stealth characters, it's not a stealth aircraft. Stealth aircraft, the radar cross-section is much lower. And also the heat signature is much lower. We always talk of radar cross-section. We rarely talk of heat signature. You had mentioned something like infrared search and tracking system. The infrared search and tracking systems are fitted on different fighter aircraft, like Su-57 has an exceptionally good IRST, infrared search and tracker. So even if it doesn't pick up an aircraft on its radar, it can pick it up by the heat signature of that aircraft which it picks up on its IRST, which means the sensor fusion is such that whether it picks up from the radar, its radar, or IRST, it can still show it on its own screen that there is a threat emerging, and this is the type of threat. So the thing that we talk of Su-57 and extremely important is that it has got a sensor fusion of a very high order compared to Rafale. Now, the Rafale that they are going to offer us is the Rafale F4, which is an advanced version of the F3 that we have today. At the same time, it cannot match the capabilities or stealth of that of the Su-57. But more than that, you know, there is something called super maneuverability. You were showing the aerobatics of a
Yes.
Su-57. You showed how it stands up virtually in the air,
Yes.
and thereafter, you know, it changes direction and
Yes,
can
we'll
now,
play the
instead
visual.
of going,
We'll play the visual
absolutely,
because you're referring to that. Let's
absolutely.
play those. Yes.
Yes, look like this, you know, this is called super maneuverability with high agility. Agility means changing the direction of your aircraft very quickly. Look at it, the way it changes its direction. And now from going away, it can come and attack you. So that is the kind of super maneuverability. Why does it have super maneuverability? You know, it has thrust vectoring, which means its exhausts of the engines can be changed. And when its exhaust can be changed, means it can be tilted. The aircraft instantly turns, and that is the reason why the aircraft, the maneuverability or the agility of this aircraft is phenomenal. It cannot be matched by any other aircraft in the world today.
Sir, how
Then we
many
come,
how many 5th generation aircrafts are war tested, sir? Is Su-57 war tested? And what do Americans have as 5th generation and the Chinese?
yeah, the fifth generation that Americans have is F-35. They have produced 1,000 number plus of this aircraft, and it has been war tested in a number of scenarios. So when we look at the fifth generation aircraft of China, there are two: Su-20, I stand corrected, J-20 and J-35. They also have a prototype of J-36, which is a sixth generation. prototype that they have already flown by two different companies, that is Shenyang and Chengdu. So they have also developed sixth generation, whereas we are developing our fifth generation Namka, which is at design stage. Now here is the fifth generation of Su-57, which has taken part in Russia-Ukraine war. In May 2022, it fired a long-range missile. You know, the beauty of Su-57 is that it can launch Kinzhal missile, which has a range of 2,000 kilometers and a speed of Mach 10, which means it's hypersonic, 10 times the speed of sound. And therefore, it cannot be intercepted by any other. Now, we are looking at a Su-57. When they give it to us, they're also giving us an air-to-air missile, which has a range of 300 to 400 kilometers, R-37R. But the best part is when they give us 100% transfer of technology, the MCA technologies that we may not be having as of this moment, we can easily incorporate them. So we can include our own weapon systems, Indian weapon systems like Astra, BrahMos in Su-57, but we cannot do it right now in Rafale because we don't have a source code. And the French are not, and the Western countries are not very, very happy giving away their technology or the source code. So this is a major advantage. And also the Su-30 MKI that we are going to upgrade, we already have 50% of the infrastructure for Su-57 when we are looking at a Su-30 MKI upgrade. And that is the added advantage. And why am I pitching for this? Because it's not that I like the Su-57 because it's a Russian aircraft, though I love Russians. I can assure you that. I have worked with them in different countries. But they are reliable partners. They always give us the contemporary technology and they never shy away, from helping us out in difficult situations.
I think you made a very strong point.